Hello and welcome to Real Hi-Fi Help. Let's have a look at better than most systems that cost 100k US dollars. So you could be in a situation where you simply can't have a sound room because maybe your neighbor is bugging you, or because of the whole shared apartment kind of thing, or you have some other reason for not being able to do that. Maybe you don't have room for equipment in the room. Maybe you only have like a couple of square feet, like 1, 2, 3 square feet, and but you still want to listen to some really good music. So I have a solution for you. This is a solution that no one is really doing in the world, and I've always dreamt of doing this myself. I've tried it once, and I really miss having this level of headphone sound. And yeah, today I'm going to share that with you guys. So let's have a look at it. So basically I'm going to recommend 3 headphones. These are 3 headphones that are what I would call end destination headphones, where you own the headphone and it's like a thing that you most likely will own for probably 20 years or maybe even more, if you can figure out how to store them and not drop them on the floor. And yeah, just be, treat your equipment nice. So yeah, this is a very good video idea for those few people that just somehow they can't get a set of speakers because there's something in the way of realizing that dream. So this will actually give you, in my opinion, it will be a lot better than most 50 to 100k systems that are out there. And I'm talking about people that own. I'm just gonna blur out some names there. Big Krell systems, big Class A system, big Plenius, big Audioflight, big Aquaphase, Macintosh, Pass Labs. If you take like the norm that most people own that have, 20, 50, 100, maybe even more than $100,000 of equipment, when you count all the new price, I believe that this is easily a lot better. Of course, when you have those systems and they're set up in a proper way where everything's playing properly, you've got your whole room set up and cabling is perfect and source and all of that. Of course, that can play a lot better than this, but I'm just giving it as an option for you guys, so you have like an extra possibility of dealing with really good sound. So I would recommend having a Focal Utopia here. Focal Utopia, that is the biggest model that they've made, and I would highly recommend that you don't be tempted and get the lower models that they have. The lower models offer a lot for the money, don't get me wrong, but they easily get stuck at a certain level, like with most headphones on the market. So you can't delve into this like deep sound and keep on listening to that for years and years and years. These are, good value headphones that will probably suit a lot of other normal applications, like going for a walk or being in a train and listening to music, or like a lower end hi-fi experience. They're still good headphones. I'm not saying that they're bad headphones. I'm just saying what I'm looking at in this video is like what you should consider the end destination of headphones. Of course, we could top all of this and we can go and say, okay, if you had like an endless amount of money, you can get the best sound that's better than all of these. and you can get the Sennheiser Orpheus, which beats all of these easily. But you know, it's going to cost you more than a car getting that headphone alone. So I'm deciding not to include that in this video. I'm doing a video that's where normal people can kind of relate. They can save a lot of money up, and you know, they can get one really good headphone and kind of perhaps keep that for life. So yeah, Focal Utopia, what can I say? I mean, an awesome headphone, so revealing, so fast, very good technical abilities. Doesn't have that last 10-20% compared to like the Abyss that I'm about to show you down here, but just an overall really good headphone. And some people are going to say that it's bright or it's clinical or it has some kind of frequency that sticks out or whatever. No, they're wrong. They're only right to a degree of, if you use it on normal gear, then of course you will hear stuff like that. Like with any other headphone, there will just be some kind of detail not really fitting for a lot of people. So this is how you do it. You just get the Focal Utopia, you get a cable like the Silver Dragon, Black Dragon, Silver Dragon, whatever they're called. Get one of those cables as a minimum. Actually, the cable that comes with the Focal Utopia is a surprisingly good cable, so you could actually not upgrade that to start with. I mean, it's one of the few headphones out there in the top where they've actually included a proper headphone cable that doesn't totally limit the sound. So you can easily go with that for a couple of years if you want to. You don't have to do this. So just do that to start with. Just get the Focal Utopia. It could be $4,000 or something like that new dollars. It could be like 2,000 used if you're lucky. Try and see if you can get that. That's a really good versatile headphone that just works. It generally works with a lot of gear, and you just have to make sure that you have a warmish type of tube amplification. And if you also can have like a warmish DAC, warmish source, then that's very good. As soon as you have an ultra revealing headphone like this and you start putting, let's just say Macintosh or M-Labs or Playback Design, that's an ultra revealing special type of detail sound. That's gonna make it more difficult, but still, this could still sound good like with a Macintosh headphone amplifier and like a random source of almost anything. You know, it could still sound good because it's a relatively forgiving headphone, even though it can potentially be a bit bright and a bit clinical on normal gear, even normal gear that costs a couple of thousand of bucks. So I highly recommend that you get this headphone and then you get a triode tube amplifier. That's like a really, really, really good tip. And for most headphones on the market, you really want to do this because you've never really heard a headphone before you've put triode tube amplification on it. So let's just move on to the next one. The next one is Audis LCD3, and it's like 2,000 bucks in the US. And you know, people in the US, they're lucky that they can get it for that price. Us in the EU, we have to pay something that's more around 3,000 bucks, US bucks. So that's a bit unfair, but that's the name of the game. You know, you have to get a guy who imports it, and then a store has to buy it, has to invest in that. He's going to sit on that stock for many months or maybe years, and that's why it's more expensive. So not entirely fair for us who have to buy it, but it's the name of the game. But this is a different type of sound that has, like the Focal Utopia, a huge amount of potential, and just, you know, absolutely brilliant in a very different way than the Focal. It's hard for me to exactly describe it to you. It's, if you like a really good ultra advanced ribbon type of sound, the Audis is probably something for you. It has a very different structure, just very, very different compared to the Focal Utopia. But you know, it's just up there. It's ridiculously good. A lot of people are concerned that buying this will potentially create a lot of problems with the drivers being not equal on both sides, and you have to take it back under the warranty, and maybe it won't cover it after the warranty has expired. Yeah, it's one of those things that Audis is known for, but you know, you of course taking a chance like with any other gear on the market, and yeah, it's kind of their Achilles heel. That I'm not sure if they've fixed that. Maybe they have, but I still consider it one of the best ever headphones. And if you can get like the original version that doesn't have the new phaser technology, I consider that to be more forgiving, more warm, more mellow, more, it's just easier to work with. Where the newer one is more revealing and has a higher demand on the good stuff that you pair with it. So here, let's just go back. Here you have to have a proper cable, okay? We're talking about Black Dragon or Silver Dragon minimum. You have to have that. You can't use the standard cable that comes with it. It's just gonna limit the sound, so you never really realize what it is that you're dealing with. This is an absolutely beautiful sound where you can really stare deep into a really good sound stage. That's a sound that if the headphone lasts, that's a sound that's so evolved. You can keep listening to that for like, I don't know, 20 years before you want to change the headphones. So if you're into these headphones here, if you want really good sound, if you want something that lasts so you don't have to experiment on all kinds of weird stuff, this is how you do it. This is the proper way. So now we're obviously going up. I would say that this, going from this to this, is like a slight upgrade, and then going from like the Audis to the Abyss 1266 TC, it could be that later they come out with a better version, but this is just ridiculously good. This is just a detail monster. So you have to be aware that when you're getting a headphone like this, some people complain and feel that it doesn't fit properly on their head. A lot of people say quite the opposite, that it fits very well, it just looks very uncomfortable, and that it's going to put a lot of pressure on your head, and it's going to be very weird. You also have to kind of figure out angling the driver slightly, getting a different sound. This is just an awesome headphone. This is what I would call the second best headphone in the world. You have access to so much detail, and it can easily get out of control if you have like a normal CD player on it, or a normal DAC, or some standard cables, or if like you have a normal laptop streamer feeding a DAC over to your headphone. This is just almost unreal and insane details. So because of that, I highly recommend that you, as an absolute minimum, use the standard cable that comes with it, but make sure that you have a triode amplifier. If you're not able to get an AudioNote triode amplifier, or convert it into a triode headphone amplifier, which I'm going to show you how to do. If you're not able to do that, get like a really warm, comfortable triode amplifier that you like, and then combine it with this. This is just an absolutely brilliant choice. And the standard cable is pretty good. It's actually pretty good. but it can get a lot better. So yeah, again, detail monster. It can easily get bright. It can easily get mechanical, unreal. So you need a crazy good triode amplifier, not necessarily the best, and you need a really good stable warm source, and like a pretty good DAC that I'm about to show you. So this is how it looks like, the Frankenstein design here. And this is what I recommend with all of these things here. Audis 2.1 signature DAC. It's like around 5,000 US dollars new. This is where DACs become really good, where instruments become fabulous and voices become magical. There's so many DACs that are being reviewed on the internet, and it's going to continue like this forever. And they're constantly reviewing these 500 buck, 1,000, 2,000, 3,000 buck DACs. You can take all of those DACs and put them in a pile and go all the way up to like 10 or 20,000 bucks, and it will never ever hit the quality of this here. Once in a while there will be a DAC that does this, but usually will be in a completely different price range. And then we're talking about something like a Negra DAC, which is a lot more money than this. Only around that point will you usually feel that this is, you know, getting a bit old and limited in sound. But then we're up in, you know, not in $5,000 DAC area. Then we're up in something like $30,000 or something like that. So I highly recommend this. Again, if you're having audio note on all the parts, just go with audio note signal cables. It makes a huge difference, even though you don't really necessarily believe in cables. I also made a video about that you can check out. And then, you know, be consistent, and then try and use something that's minimum on this level. CD 2.1 signature. This is the Mark II. And I don't know how much that costs, like 3,000 bucks new. I'm not sure. You have to check that out. This is like where CD players become really good, really natural, and just have that like human touch, which a lot of CD players don't really have. So I would claim that this is actually better in a lot of ways than the much more expensive Macintosh MCD 500 and the newer versions that they've made. You could potentially say that the Macintosh MCD 1100, 1100, I think they released that about 8 or 10 years ago. You could say that that is in many ways better than this, but that is also a CD player that costs like, I'm guessing 3 or 4 times more. That's my guess. So it's kind of fair that Macintosh made something that was better, but that is, I would say, overall better than this. Then we have this. This is the last thing I want to show you guys. So this is what you do. This is the trick for getting really good sound. You take a Audio Note Maestro amp, take it to your dealer. He does like a loop on the terminals at the back, connects it to like a Nutric jack plug that I've written here. And then you have to make sure that you have this cable on it. That makes a big difference. That makes the sound a lot more magical and real. Now you have a amplifier for your speakers and your headphone amp. Isn't that cool? Isn't that cool? So if you like one day are able to play on speakers, then you can just switch with like a switch at the back. I tried this myself. This is magical. That's how a headphone is supposed to be. Like, only when you've heard this level of sound can you fully appreciate the headphones that you have. you could potentially have a completely different set of headphones. Yeah, it's probably going to cost you like this. And of course, like the newer Tonmeister Maishu, which has replaced the Maishu, is a lot better. So you might want to consider that instead of this. That's the new model that they make. But if you have to like start off with almost nothing, then just make like a Deckware Triode amp or something like that. You know, it's like $900 new. It's almost nothing. What was it that I wanted to say? So this is basically it. How you can make everything, almost any headphone in the world, sound really good. And you of course have to start off with something decent. You know, I would recommend as an absolute minimum when you start on this journey that you have like a Grado RS2, modern RS2 as a minimum. That's like where I feel, you know, that you're getting into the high class sound. That's like the start of the high class sound. Some people will say that already around the Sennheiser 600, do they feel that the high end sound starts? I mean, to some degree they're right. You know, that's obviously a very good headphone that does a lot of good. And yeah, it's worth trying it. It's also worth trying the 650 and the 660S, I think it's called. Those are all really good headphones worth trying. And, you know, until you've had a setup like this that I've shown you here, you haven't really heard those headphones. So you might think that they're too bright, too dark, too much of this and that. You don't really know until you had a setup like this. So this is how you do it. This is how you create a good value system without necessarily having to use too much money. But this is how you really get that top high-end sound that you never really get to hear in stores. So I hope that helps you guys. I hope that helps you. Remember to like and subscribe.